tragedy strikes, accidents happen. Be there when the calls come in. It's back-to-back episodes of Rescue 911, next on Discovery Health Channel.
This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, a hidden crevice takes a downhill skier prisoner deep below the surface.
We thought maybe he's dead.
Be there as fellow skiers attempt to save their friend's life.
I knew it was a race against time, and every minute felt like an hour.
On April 4th, 1991, near Zermatt, Switzerland, Daniel Weber and a group of friends set out to ski the magnificent mountain glaciers in that area of the Alps. All six were experienced skiers who respected the dangerous beauty of the slopes, but felt prepared for the challenge that awaited them.
When you go ski touring, you walk very slow, so you have time to see all the areas and the mountains. It's a very spectacular view. But we plan always to ski very careful. You have to take care about all the crevasses. This is the dangerous thing on glaciers. You can fall in.
Leading the group of skiers that day was Christian Brunner.
Ich war das Bindeglied.
I was the link between, on the one side, the group of volleyball player friends, Jörg and Jens, and on the other hand, I had a group of my mountaineering friends, Daniel, Marcus, and Tom. The weather was nice and clear, the sun was shining, we could enjoy the sights, the view. It was a wonderful feeling, especially for Jens and Jörg, because it was the first time that they had been on the top of a mountain that was 13,000 feet high.
On top we had a little meal, looked around the area and enjoyed all of this. And before we skied down, there was a bigger group with a mountain guide, and they also started skiing down. If you go down from the mountain, in this case it's just one way, and it's the trail you went up. And because Jörg and Jens, this was the first time skiing down a glacier. And so we told them to stay on the trail, because there you can be more sure that under the trail is no crevasses.
Hey, der Jörg. Jens, der Jörg ist in der Gletscherspalte gefallen.
I thought it's about 5 meters steep, not more. So we thought, yeah, okay, it's no problem. But we looked into the hole and it was so deep, and it was a shock. We thought maybe he's dead.
When we continue.
Christian and Daniel, we all were frightened.
Because we couldn't help him. Jörg was already frozen to the ice.
Tomorrow, what fuels our sex drive? Biology and hormones lead the way, but now we'll find out how culture, stress, and even the weather can play a role in how we mate. Explore the libido tomorrow on Discovery Health Channel.
Ride the razor's edge between life and death with the people who walk it every day. Trauma, Life in the ER, tonight at 7 Eastern, only on Discovery Health Channel.
The expert mountaineers had brought ice climbing gear in case of an emergency. While they tried to reach Jörg, someone else skied to the group ahead and told their guide what had happened. The guide radioed the Air Zermatt rescue team. and a helicopter was dispatched to the scene.
Unterkühlung bedeutet, dass die Körpertemperatur.
If a person is exposed to freezing temperature, that means that the temperature of the body will sink to a dangerous degree. And if it reaches that degree for any length of time, then that means that the heart and the body functions will simply stop.
Setzt ein Herzstillstand ein. Weil ich eben wusste, es ist ein.
I knew it was a race against time, and every minute felt like an hour.
Jens Solhofer lowered two friends into the crack in the glacier.
I was scared. Christian and Daniel, we all were frightened. We realized we would have big problems to get him up by ourselves.
The first when I saw him, I saw that it's serious because we couldn't help him. Jörg was already frozen into the ice.
It took half an hour for them to get to Jörg. Although he was lodged 75 feet below the surface, he was still alive.
In dem Moment kam bei mir etwas Panik auf.
At that moment, I slightly panicked because I didn't see any way of getting him out of there. He was really trapped. He told me, I can't breathe. I'm so squeezed in. I can't get any air.
Du, ich glaube, der Rucksack behindert dich. Ich versuche dich auch zu lösen. Mach schnell! Danny, ich brauche ein Taschenmesser!
It was frustrating for me because we could just talk with Jörg and not help more. And Jörg actually talked about dying. Because the crevasse was rounded, he couldn't see the sky, nothing. It was just ice, snow.
Because of strong winds, it took the helicopter more than an hour to reach the scene. Among those who responded was alpine ski guide Kurt Lauber.
You have to be really lucky that you can survive if you fell into a crevasse. I don't know, maybe it goes 50 to 50% that you survive or that you die.
Eine Zeit lang hat Jörg vom.
There was a time when Jörg talked about giving up. He said, I must go to sleep. I'm feeling faint. There's no sense in struggling on. I'm never going to get out of here. And then Daniel shouted down, come on, Jörg, behave yourself. You can't go to sleep. You must fight.
We was working with a small ice axe because as long as he sees that something is going on, he's not so afraid. The first thing what I thought was that we need to have an air hammer because there was no way, no chance to get him out without the air hammer because his hands, his boots, and also his skis, they went stuck into the ice.
By the time an air hammer arrived at the accident scene, Jörg had been trapped for more than 2 hours.
With the air hammers, they could break out big pieces of ice. They worked slowly, but they had to do it very safe. They were being as careful as possible.
Jörg had been pinned between the walls of ice for nearly 5 hours when rescuers finally freed him enough so that they could try to lift him out.
Jörg told us that he's not feeling his legs. So we thought maybe his back is broken. And if you are not really careful, they may be paralyzed afterwards.
Jörg war fast leichenblass. Hatte ganz.
Jörg was almost as pale as death. His lips were a deep purple, his eyes half closed. The freezing was taking its toll. Hypothermia was near.
Emergency medicine specialist Dr. Axel Mann had been flown in to treat Jörg as soon as he reached the surface.
In the last half hour that he was in the crevasse, he almost lost his consciousness. That meant that we had to assume that his body temperature had fallen way down below the critical point of 80 degrees. That meant that there was an absolute danger of Jörg losing his life.
We could feel the relief of all the people, including the rescue team. He was out there and he was alive. It's like being reborn. It's like a second life.
Jörg was transported to a hospital in Visp for treatment. He was released after 3 days with no lasting effects.
Das ist dann wirklich nur noch den Bergführern und auch meinen Kollegen zu verdanken, Daniel.
It is only due to the mountain guides and my friends, like Christian and Daniel, that I am still alive. They constantly encouraged me. They tried to tell me to overcome the situation. They inspired me not to give up. They actually risked their lives for me. So I'm certain that without these people, I wouldn't be here today. I would not have survived.
If you go mountaineering, teamwork is very important. So for me, it's normal if you go to the mountains together, then you help together. And for us, it was just the right thing to do when we were down there. We had no thoughts about being heroes or something like this. It was just the right way. And afterwards, I feel like Clint Eastwood.
Man sollte
Just because an accident like this one happened, one shouldn't now have the feeling or impression that it's very risky to go on ski tours and to ski in the free nature. All in all, a ski tour is surely still less dangerous than driving a car.
We all should take first aid and CPR courses every year. By learning basic life-saving techniques, we might be able to save the life of someone we love. This series is dedicated to all the men and women who answer our calls for help and are there when we need them most. I'm William Shatner. Join us again next week for more true stories on Rescue 911.
Next, step inside the command center where the calls for help are answered and meet the real-life heroes who save lives. Stay tuned for another episode of Rescue 911, next on Discovery Health Channel. Real life, medicine, miracles.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.